used. But all I could really do was just continue watching the episode to see what would happen from here. But all Softshell would do was just craft a brand new red bed before jokingly saying that, "This is why I don't play when I'm tired." Soon after, episode 3 would eventually conclude with Softshell 7 finally placing the windows in his house, with the episode ultimately ending with him saying, "I'm gonna end the episode here and go to bed in real life since it's getting pretty late. Good night, guys. See you in the next episode."
Yeah.
And this episode was just weird. I think it's safe to say that there's probably only one question on most of our minds right now. That being, what happened to Softshell's bed? And initially, I had no clue. But after spending literal hours thinking about it, thinking of what could have happened, how could it happen, I honestly still didn't have a good explanation. The only thing I could think of is that maybe Softshell actually did break the bed himself and truly just forgot. And I mean, it's not that crazy of a theory. In the episode, we can clearly see that there are actually some cuts in the video, especially between when he left his base for sand and came back. Maybe he really is just that forgetful or plain out tired, like he said. And this theory develops even more credibility when you realize the fact that a lot of items he had in his inventory disappeared between cuts. He obviously did something off camera, and by all means, this isn't the best explanation out there, but it's truthfully all we have to work with. So now, pulled deep into this mystery, I continued on to the next episode, episode 4, titled Built a Wheat Farm. I had to see what happened next. And just like the title suggests, Softshell 7 would start off the episode by greeting us, the audience, before showing off his new wheat farm he built off camera. After giving us a quick tour of the farm, he then proceeded to tell us what his plans were for the episode. My plans for this episode is to make a little more progress and hopefully try beating the game pretty soon. And to be totally honest, I really didn't think anything too weird would happen this episode. Softshell then went on to explore a nearby cave in hopes of finding some more resources to gear up with. And surprisingly, after just 5 minutes, he actually had a pretty successful mining trip, coming across a little more coal, copper, and even a little iron. And now, more than happy with his findings, would finally begin heading back up to the surface. After eventually finding his way out of the cave, he began heading back to his house to smelt all his iron. But that was when something peculiar happened. You see, Softshell 7 was just outside of his base, about 10 or so blocks away from the front door, when out of nowhere, he whipped around as if he heard something. He began slowly looking around, as if he was hesitant, fearful of what he might find. And then, he froze. Just completely stopped in his tracks. And he would remain this way, completely still, not moving a muscle. There was a deafening silence throughout the air. But then, he would abruptly disturb this unsettling peace with a single message. What was that? A few more seconds of looking around before typing once more. I thought I heard something. Softshell would then continue to look back and forth a couple times before sprinting towards his comfortable base. Soon after entering, he would ultimately end this episode with one final message. Okay, I'm gonna end the episode here. And honestly, this episode was stranger than the last. Softshell was headed back towards his base after a decent mining trip when out of nowhere he suddenly froze, his whole body still, looking around cautiously as if he shouldn't have been, saying he thought he heard something before quickly running into his base and suddenly cutting off the episode. What could he have heard to cause this reaction? Up until this point, Softshell had been acting relatively normal. He didn't seem like the type of guy to just act bizarrely like this for no reason whatsoever. I feel like with each episode we just get pulled further and further down the rabbit hole. So leaving with more questions than we had answers for, I felt like I had to continue on to episode 5. We must find out what exactly caused him to act like this. And brace yourself, because what we eventually uncover is truly terrifying. Episode 5, bluntly titled Making an Animal Farm, began as usual. Welcome back to another episode. I made a little more progress this last episode. Softshell had actually done a little more mining off camera and made some decent progress, showing off his brand new iron chestplate, pickaxe, and even a few diamonds he found, 3 to be exact. He would then go on to put the diamonds away in his chest before stating his plans for the day. Anyways, my plan for this episode is to make a new animal farm, mentioning he needs it for more food since he's frequently been running out. Softshell then reaped the wheat from his farm to lure the animals back to his base. After crafting a few fences, he built a small pen to store the animals before going out looking for any animals to bring back with him. After exploring for a bit, he eventually stumbled upon a herd of cows and began slowly but surely bringing them back to the farm. But after just a few seconds, he would strangely enough, once again, freeze. This time, looking all around himself, inspecting his surroundings for a fraction of the time, before seemingly snapping out of it, coming back to his senses to continue back to his base. After successfully bringing the animals back to the farm, he would breed them and then say he would cut back after he got more animals. After cutting back with tons of more cows, he would begin typing out a message. Alright, before abruptly cutting himself off, closing the chat. He began looking all around himself once more, just like before suddenly running back into his house to continue on with what he was saying. Alright, I finished up the farm, I got loads of more cows, and I'm pretty happy with how the farm turned out. Before going on to say, anyways, I'm gonna end the episode here. In which afterwards, he would end the episode only after putting away his leftover materials back in the chest. Alright, bye guys. This was probably one of the most strangest episodes yet. It began fairly normal. Softshell showed off his new gear, collected his crops, stated his plans, but then soon after, things began to fall apart. Just as he was luring the cows back to the farm, how come he once again froze out of nowhere to inspect his surroundings, just like in the last episode? And it's not like these freezes are random. They always seem to startle him, but why? And until we get a better understanding of what exactly is going on, we really won't know the answer to that. I didn't want to hesitate any further. I needed answers. So I continued right on to the next episode, episode 6. And to put it frankly, this would soon become the most terrifying episode yet. Episode 6, titled Going to the Nether, began ordinarily enough. Softshell once again started this episode inside his base, just per usual, before mentioning that this episode he wanted to expand his wheat farm and try going to the Nether. He headed outside, and just as he said, began working on growing his wheat farm. After a couple minutes, he finally finished and headed back into his base after replanting all the seeds. Alright, I think it's time to finally go to the Nether. I'm gonna gear up a little more though real quick. On his way to the cave, he passed by his cows one final time before dropping down into the opening. After heading down the cave further and further, exploring every twist and turn, he eventually stumbled upon some iron, which would be used to make better tools and armor. Finally, I found some iron. After mining that vein and a few more like it, he decided it was time to finally head back up to the surface. I think I have enough iron now for armor and maybe a sword. I'm gonna go back up this mountain and then we'll finally go to the Nether. And just as he stated, he began heading back up towards his base. What the heck? Oh. I think they all despawned. When Softshell 7 went back up to his base, he strangely enough found all of his cows dead. And although he just blames this anomaly on them nearly just despawning, that just isn't the case here. You see, when a mob is left unattended and the player is far enough away, it will often despawn, completely deleted from the game. But here's the thing, mobs inside of a fenced area actually can't despawn. And even if, by some impossible chance, the cows had somehow despawned, they still wouldn't have left any drops behind. These cows have seemingly been slaughtered. But how could that be? What could have done that? Who could have done this? Every answer only seemed to open 10 more questions, each one darker than the last. So consumed by the uncertainty, I had no choice but to dive straight into the next episode. We need to uncover exactly what's going on.
A can of Pepsi too!
blew open the entrance. you.